Here's another basic thing. You always want foreground, middle ground, background, just uh, basic stuff. Yeah, I always like to have my grids ready to go. So what I'll do is cut and then paste, and then I can paste it real quick, and then I'll go to my perspective tool, which I mean, just the last 2 years, I think I've been using this a lot more, and I find it really helpful. And it is a cheat. If you don't have the perspective tool, just if that's the case, then maybe just draw some grids for boarding. The main two perspectives you're going to use are 1 point and 2 point. You're probably going to be using a lot of 1 point. And if you do use 2 point, a word of advice, I'll show you. If you drew a background on this, you'd have a bit like the demo I drew earlier, where you have you can have pretty intense perspective. Yeah, that person's there. If you're looking at how they're on the ground, like it'd be kind of going like this, like there's a little 3 point maybe in here because the lines are converging so much. So a good thing to think about for 2 point is dragging one of the vanishing points and putting it outside of the frame. And that'll help simplify your composition. You never really want to have two vanishing points inside of the frame. And then, yeah, and then you have a nice little guide to draw your buildings or whatever you're drawing with. If you, yeah, if you have all this in here, the eye doesn't know where to go as easily. It can be a cool layout, and maybe with this kind of 2 point, maybe you're in and you're panning left to right, and that can be a really pleasing shot. But right now my eye would be drawn here and here. So just better if you bring the vanishing point outside. Here's just some basics for design in the background, tell two trees. So yeah, it's an all right tree, but it just has so many shapes. You want to think in big group shapes. It's good to think in 1, 2, and 3, like one big thing, one medium-sized, and then one small. That helps you organize and group shapes. Just a design thing to think about and something you can put in your backgrounds. Here's another thing that, at least in my show, what we try and accomplish is you want to do a 7:3 ratio. 30% of the screen needs to be clear as the stage for characters. Usually you have the bottom clear, and then you can go crazy on up top, but you're creating a stage, you're creating a theater set for characters so that they have clear acting. Again, like Yogi Berra or all those old shows had this, and they're kind of boring, but you have really clean acting that way, and the background isn't getting in the way of your staging. So yeah, and then shift for hard object. I think I went over this in maybe my last lecture, but yeah, if you have some architecture, I almost always use shift. It lets you build something quick. Like there's a triangle in perspective. That's freehand. That took a little bit longer and it doesn't look as good or as solid. So I use shift a lot, especially for backgrounds. And I'll use it for parts of a character that I might want to be solid, like a character legs, for instance, like the top could be kind of organic. Maybe the body's more solid. Like the limbs could be more wiggly. But then I'll want him to be walking, so maybe I'll draw one side freehand, but the other side straight just to give it a strong make it feel strong. You know, and the contact point, maybe I'll make that hard too. So yeah, try and work shift into your drawing. I think you might find it goes quicker.